What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on First Take, they're going to be talking about how Golden State Warriors got beat by the LA Clippers 129-121, which leads them to a Game 6 in the first round of the playoffs. So let's see what they have to say about that.
Who are you most worried about? I'm going to worry about Steph Curry from the standpoint of getting in foul trouble a couple of times this series. Obviously, it's something that he had a conversation with Steve Kerr about because Steve Kerr had to remind him, look, man, let him score. You know, you never thought you'd hear those words from Steve Kerr, who obviously pays attention to defense, but he was telling Steph Curry, you're far more important for us being on the floor without being in foul trouble. He only had 2 fouls last night, but the previous games he had at least 4 fouls. One game, I think it was game 3, he had 5 fouls. And obviously you looked at other guys and looking for them to give a contribution because they have to step up because, as Max has pointed out on numerous occasions, without Steph Curry on the floor, you're compromised to some degree because just his presence on the floor alone makes him that potent of a threat. But I use that to because I look at it as a microcosm of what's really going on with this team. I'm not worried about them offensively. They always figure things out offensively. Defensively, sometimes, and this is what people have to understand about this sport of basketball. Sometimes it's not just about circumstances, it's not just about personalities. When you are elite offensively, you don't necessarily prioritize defense in most instances because you know you can outscore most people that you're going to go up against. You know you can amp it up, you can turn it up a notch. When we think about the greatness of MJ, when we think about the greatness of the Kobes of the world and others, they didn't do that. They showed up on both ends of the floor during the prime times of their career. And so when you...
So you guys notice how Stephen A. Smith said the greatness of MJ and the greatness of Kobe playing defense, among other things, and he didn't bring up that one guy. You know that one guy I'm talking about, right? You know that one guy. Yeah, so let's keep going.
Looking and you see an elite team, but you're outscoring opponents. If an opponent feels like they can drop 120, or in last night's case, 129 against you, it's a problem because it elevates their level of confidence and emboldens them, and their mentality is just getting a stop here and there. That's all we got to worry about because we don't have to worry about being stopped by these guys. It's important that the Warriors send a message. It's not just about winning. You've got to get in lockdown mode. When Patrick Beverley is dropping 5 3-pointers and Lou Williams can't be stopped and Montrezl Harrell can't be stopped, what you think James Harden and the boys are thinking about? That's what you got to be mindful of.
So I'm worried about the Golden State Warriors, but I'm not that worried about it because it's not good. It's not good that they've lost twice in the first round. Now, I'm not saying necessarily that they should have swept the Clippers, but I just expected it to flow a little bit more smoother than what it has. With the whole thing with Kevin Durant and Patrick Beverley, that whole ordeal. So I just wish it would have gone a little bit more smoother. But I think this is just one of those things where they're playing to the level of their competition. And I trust that in later rounds, especially against Houston, that they'll be able to, or they will step up and play to the level of playing against Houston and James Harden and Chris Paul and all them. But I also think this is just one of the humps in the road when you three-peat. Just being a championship team, let alone three-peating, there's always going to be some type of obstacle. There's always some type of something that a team has to get over in order to be able to three-peat or four-peat or whatever peat, or you just win a championship. I think this is probably it. So I'm worried. It doesn't look good that they lost, but at this point, I still think they can push forward and do what they need to do. So I don't know. Let's keep going.
There are two players to be mindful of for the Warriors. One is on the team, one isn't. The guy on the team is Kevin Durant, the guy who's not as James Harden for the reason you just pointed out. But it's not Kevin Durant, the man. It's the player. It's everyone else who Kevin Durant is affecting. What is defense really about, Stephen A? Communication, effort, playing for each other. This team knows KD's got 1 foot out the door. Now think about how this Warriors team was built. Steph Curry, the engine. Klay Thompson, you always praise Mark Jackson for the way he kind of brought them along, and he did. He said, I believe in these guys. They're going to be the best shooting backcourt ever.
Foundation.
They brought in Iguodala. Iguodala has been the most underrated member of this championship dynasty. It is ridiculous. He was the finals MVP. I mean, LeBron deserved that finals MVP, fine. But Iguodala's defense on LeBron made him finals MVP. He doesn't complain about not getting the ball. He was once the number 1 option on a team, right? He shouldn't have been, but okay. He doesn't complain.
Oh, so that's kind of cool what he said about Iguodala. But Iguodala knows his role. I don't think he's underrated. I think he he gets the praise that he's supposed to get because he's not really on the level of a Steph Curry. He's not on the level of Kevin Durant. He's not really on the level of Klay Thompson. So I can't see how he would get any more praise than those guys. And those guys are the main starters. Maybe Draymond, but other than that, he's getting the praise that he deserves. And he got that praise when he got the Finals MVP. So that's huge right there. And as far as the whole Kevin Durant thing, I think Max might be looking way too deep into that because that may have been an issue during the regular season where there's a bunch of plots and subplots going on throughout the season that a team has to get through. But now they're in the playoffs. They're in the playoffs right now. So they have to have complete focus on what's going on in the playoffs. They can't worry about what's going to happen. They can, in the offseason. They can't worry about what's Kevin Durant going to be here next year or what. They have to live in the moment and take care of business now and get out of this first round with the Clippers, which seems like they have their hands full with them, and progress. I hate to bring it up, but like what LeBron James used to do is go to 0 dark 30 during the playoffs. So he had complete focus. He didn't listen to any of the media. He didn't read newspapers. He didn't do any of that. He just focused on the playoffs. So I think that's what the Golden State Warriors are doing right now. I don't think they're focusing on who's going to be where and who's going to be doing what in the offseason. Because right now, they just need to worry about three-peating, and then they can worry about everything else. So as far as, Kevin Durant, the saga with him, I don't think that's an issue. And I think Max is looking a little too deep into that. So let's keep going.
Complain about not getting the ball. These guys, Draymond Green, these guys came up together, added Iguodala, played the right way, all that stuff. Now they add KD. He's a mercenary. These other guys don't have one foot out the door. KD's got one foot out the door. And it's affecting all year the chemistry on this team.
I think that is incredibly unfair to KD. And here's why. This ain't some rookie squad. These brothers ain't wet behind the ears, breath smelling like Similac. These brothers they've been to the finals 4 straight years. They've won 3. Don't get me started with that damn stimulus package that was given to LeBron James by the NBA when they suspended Draymond Green. And last year you brought up Houston and CP3's injury. Let's not forget Iguodala was injured during that series. But that's beside the point. Let's keep this clear. We're sitting here talking about the Warriors today because they lost Game 5 last night, which they should have won. And defensively, what they didn't do. Kevin Durant dropped 45.
That's why I said it's not him, it's the effect on the team.
But what I'm saying is not as that. He played defense. These are the experienced dudes.
Hold on, Max.
I'm
not arguing that KD's not great. I'm talking about the way the team isn't playing for each other.
And
here's the difference with the Rockets. Lou Williams showed you what an unstoppable ISO scorer on a team that is playing for each other can do. This Rockets team came this close last year without CP3, but now they got CP3. If Harden gets over the yips in the playoffs, they're going to beat the Warriors.
Hold on, Max.
So I doubt that, Max. And for one thing, what proves it is 2 or 3 weeks ago, didn't Golden State Warriors just play the Houston Rockets at home? They had Chris Paul. They had James Harden. I know I've said this before. They were at home. They had a winning streak against Golden State, and Golden State didn't have Kevin Durant, and they still got beat. So if that's any precursor to whatever might happen in the future, you can deal with that. But as far as, talking about the whole the whole issues with Kevin Durant and I mean, he just put up 45. So, I mean, it can't be bothering him that bad. It can't be bothering him that bad. And like I said, there's a long way to go. And I don't think Golden State is worried about what's going on with Kevin Durant. Okay? Because like I said, he just dropped 45. And what happens 2 games ago? I think, Klay Thompson had 10 or 13 threes in a row or something like that. I can't remember. But he was balling. And then what happened the game before that? Steph Curry set the all-time record for shooting threes that used to belong to Ray Allen. So as far as this whole thing of they're not playing together and this whole Kevin Durant thing bothering them, I just can't buy it, Max. I just can't buy it because each game somebody steps up and does something big and doesn't necessarily get the win, but it still shows that Golden State still has it. So I don't know what Max is talking about. So let's keep going.
I've been listening to you. I heard what you just said. You just said that this defensive effort, this lack of effort, is partially responsible to KD or attributed to KD having one foot out the door. Stephen A., look, whatever happened last night, is it arrogant? Is it looking ahead to the Rockets? What I think is fascinating is here, what you're describing could be temporary. that could be gotten over. That could be fixed in the next game.
That's
what
right.
you're describing isn't going away. That's going to be present through the entire playoffs.
But
like I said, I don't think that's a factor, but I think the Golden State Warriors are playing to the level of their competition because they should definitely be taking care of the Clippers by now. But for whatever reason, they're playing to the level of the Clippers. And I'm pretty sure, I hope that next round that they'll step up their game. And if not, they're going to be sent home because they can't be doing this type of stuff against the Houston Rockets because James Harden will punish them. They will punish them. And I don't even want to get to that point. So, but I also think that the Golden State Warriors are going to play Houston in a different way than they played Houston in their playoffs last year. Like I said, 2 or 3 weeks ago, they beat Houston when they were firing on all cylinders. And I think they're going to approach them in a different manner than what they did last year playoffs, where they barely got off in the skin of their teeth. So, I don't know. Let's keep going.
still, they're going to get out of the West at least if Harden keeps choking. Because that's another issue that the Rockets have. Harden's got to get over that. Harden's got to get over the Clayton Kershaw. He's got to get over the Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, Max, you didn't have to go there with Clayton Kershaw, okay? So the Dodgers they're doing okay, right? What, they went to World Series, was it last year, I think? And they went deep into the playoffs the years before that. So Kershaw, he's going to do his thing, okay? Don't worry about him. When it's all said and done, Kershaw is going to be doing his thing for the Dodgers, all right? So don't trip on that. That was kind of a low blow, okay? I don't really appreciate that. So let's keep going.
How it is.
Look,
you know what's funny? You know what's funny?
Hold on, Max, because I understand what your point is. My point to you is this, just to crystallize the difference with Max and I. Max, if James Harden isn't hitting threes, Max is going to hold it against him. Here's my point. Even though I understand what you're saying, he has to hit shots in order for them to beat the Warriors. What I'm saying is I'm not going to accuse James Harden of choking if he drops 32, but he hits a high percentage shot from twos, but he's just missing his threes. Now, you choking if you hit, if you don't shoot against San Antonio like you didn't do a few years ago, where I put an APB out for that imposter. I didn't know who the hell that was.
So I don't know, Stephen A. That might go on the level of choking, even though he doesn't hit all his threes, but he gets, 35 or 40 points off of twos? Because, we know he's been doing it during the whole regular season. He can do it during the regular season, but all of a sudden now you start missing threes, but you hit your twos in the playoffs. So that's choke city. Like I said, he's too good, and we know it, to have him get away with, he hit all his twos, but he missed many threes, and let's give him a pass because he still scored a lot of points. No. You don't get away with that this year, James Harden. Again, because we know how good you are. You're an MVP. You've been an MVP. You might get MVP again, so you don't get away with any excuses. That's what comes with the territory of being a great player, being an MVP type caliber type player. You don't get that excuse anymore. You don't get it. So, I don't know. Let's keep going.
But not last year.
You ain't going to beat Golden State counting by twos. This is math.
I agree with that.
So don't go 2 for 13. And let me say one thing real quick. When I bring up Clayton Kershaw, I bring up Peyton Manning, I bring up James Harden. Understand, to be the biggest choker, you must be an all-time great player. And the question is, you're all-time great every other time, but when it matters most, suddenly you're not. It gives me no pleasure to say that about Peyton Manning or Clayton Kershaw or James Harden. But
so I don't understand why people bring up, how could you bring up Peyton Manning when Peyton Manning has 2 rings? Not only does he have 2 rings, he has a ring with 2 different teams. 2 different teams, he has rings. So I don't understand where this, as soon as Peyton Manning won his first ring, his whole thing about choking or whatever, that went out the window. Even if he did choke up to that point in time, which he did, he has 2 rings to make up for it. So that's negated. You can't bring that up anymore. As far as Kershaw, it's getting closer and closer for them to not bring that up. I can't remember if they won the World Series. I think they just went to the World Series, but they didn't win it. But Kershaw's not done yet, okay? He's not done yet. So, I don't know. Let's keep going. And stop talking about Peyton Manning. I mean, Jesus Christ, he's got 2 rings. So, let's keep going. Even though his defense saved him when he was at Denver. But that's for another video. Anyway, let's keep going.
that's the way it is. That's just the way it is. And if Harden can get over that, and he's giving signs, like it looks like he's getting more comfortable under pressure. I'm telling you right now,
I don't know about that. Okay, so Westbrook is the first major guy to choke in the playoffs, and guess who's next? Guess who's going to follow suit? It's probably going to be Mr. James Harden. I hope it's going to be Mr. James Harden. So let's keep going.
There's a whole bunch of ifs in that argument. If I go to hair club for men, my hairline will be 3 feet forward. I mean, what the hell is that? There's a whole bunch of ifs. What does it mean? The bottom line is